Hi everyone, my name is Sabrina Schaefer
And I'm Phil Mills.
with Breaking Autism, and today we're going to talk about parents' rights to meaningful participation. So Phil, this comes up a lot is, to what extent can parents be part of the IEP process? From the identification phase to writing the IEP to placing the child, what does that look like?
Right. Well, they're required to be a participant at all stages, and from identification, it can be the parent that actually refers their own child for an evaluation or identifies their child as someone who they suspect has a disability that would affect their ability to learn or their educational progress, and they would report that to the school and ask for an evaluation. So they can be a participant throughout the entire process.
Right.
They also can be a participant in determining what evaluations are done through the domains process. And if they're not, if there's a determination that their child is not eligible, they have a right to appeal. They have a right to notice and appeal. But if they are determined eligible and there's a IEP meeting, eligibility meeting first, if they can agree or disagree on the disability, they can then when you move to the IEP part of it, they are a participant in the IEP development process. They're part of the team. So denying them the opportunity to be part of the team is definitely a denial of meaningful participation, which is relevant to determining whether the child is receiving a free, appropriate public education under IDEA. If you deny the parent meaningful participation, it can be argued that they've been denied FAPE.
I think that's a really important point is, as you're developing whether or not a child's going to receive special education, whatever that might look like, and, both on the determination phase and then once it's been determined, meaningful participation extends across that. And I think sometimes that can be overlooked where they say, well, my school district doesn't think the child, needs special education, or, they'd like to try RTI first, or my school doesn't provide those kinds of services. I hear that one a lot. I hear, well, the district has these types of classes or programs. Meaningful participation means being a part of that placement discussion. What is the right placement for your child outside of sometimes what the district provides, including services? So if your child needs a certain kind of service, you're entitled to participate in that discussion and contribute and help determine what that really looks like and what goals support that and so forth.
Right.
Do you see that?
Once in a while, you see cases where parents claim that they were not given an opportunity to meaningfully participate because they weren't given information that the other people that participated in the meeting were provided. If you walk into a meeting and you don't have the information everybody else has in enough time to review it and prepare questions and at least to educate yourself a little bit about what's going on, are you really able to meaningfully participate?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
that's, and I think it's just a good practice, even though that law is going to be delayed probably if the governor signs a follow-up bill till July 1. I still think it's a good practice for school districts to follow, and a lot of them do. And they found that it's beneficial. A lot of times they'll complain, for example, in a due process complaint, that that information was actually withheld from them, or they had requested records from the school district regarding their child, and the district did not provide the records, and as a result, they didn't have those records going into the meeting, and as a result, they were denied meaningful participation.
Yeah. Another place I see it come up a lot is with placement. In fact, I just had a case about this. The basis was that the school district had a meeting prior to the IEP and determined that there was a placement within their district that was, what they felt was appropriate for the child. And came in, procedurally did the IEP and everything, but didn't talk about the continuum of placement options with the parents. They did offer for the parents to observe that placement, and the court found that no, that was not meaningful participation. In fact, the courts have repeatedly affirmed that you have to give more than just mere form. Parental participation has to be meaningful. And that's really important that we recognize that, because I think parents and guardians can forget that they are an equal member of the IEP team, and that they have a right to be an informed member of that team.
One way that parents can be meaningful participants is to take the time to review the IEP, especially the present levels of performance, which really are the baseline information about how the child is performing.
Or should be.
Well, it's supposed to be a narrative about
Right.
how the disability affects the child's educational progress, and it should be the baseline for the actual goals that are written. And sometimes the present levels are not written very well. And I would say that the present levels are the most important part of the IEP, because because the goals for the child are derived from those. And if you don't write those well, which may also go back to the quality of the evaluation that was provided, or a series of evaluations, if those present levels are not written well, chances are you're not going to have good goals, which means the IEP is not going to work.
Right.
And you see that more and more often. I mean, we've seen it for a long time, but in some districts, they just don't write good IEPs. I mean, it's just reality. And I think a lot of it stems back to the evaluation and the present levels and the way they're written. Role that the parent has on the IEP team is to assist and be part of the decision making about services, goals, placement, any other part of the IEP document. You are supposed to be an equal participant with all the other people at the meeting. In practice, it doesn't always work that way, but that's one reason why you might want to call Judy and ask her to participate with you,
Right.
to assist you in the meeting, because a good advocate can overcome a lot of that inequality that occurs. When you're in a room with 20 school people alone, you kind of feel just the sense of feeling like you're in the distinct minority, and you don't feel comfortable speaking up when it should be as much your meeting as it is theirs.
Right.
But they often aren't run that way. All school districts are different. Some do it very, very well, and I don't want to say all school districts are bad, but
Right.
But some do it much better than others.
I've seen IEP meetings or team meetings where the district might bring anywhere from maybe 5, 10, 15 people, and you're just in this long table of people, and it's you, maybe both parents are there, or maybe you have an advocate. Is it a vote? How are decisions determined if you have this meaningful participation?
Well, if there are issues that are in dispute, you can have a majority opinion and a minority opinion. And I've seen numerous incidents where one of the school staffers will submit a minority opinion on an issue, whether a child needs a service or whether the placement decision is something they agree to. But I've seen people say, I don't agree with the team, and submit a statement. Parents can do that too. They can submit something for the IEP to be written in that says, I don't agree with this decision. Just to give you an example, if let's say they have a discussion, which they're supposed to have at every meeting, about students' assistive technology needs, and the school district says this student doesn't need assistive technology, and the parent says, no, I think the student at least needs to be evaluated to determine whether they have assistive technology needs, and the team doesn't agree. The IEP will say the student doesn't need anything, but the parent can submit a statement saying that he or she disagrees, or a staff member might disagree, and that should go on the document.
Right. As a parent or guardian, feel like that right to meaningful participation has been stripped, there are options, there are resources. One, document everything. Write your concerns down and make sure you're sending them to the right people. Maybe that's your director of special education, maybe that's your superintendent, maybe it's the board, definitely the IEP team as well.
Another good role for an advocate would be to write, if you have a dissenting opinion on an IEP some part of the IEP to have you, if you don't feel comfortable writing it yourself. I mean, there are parents of varying educational levels. Some parents might not feel comfortable writing that dissent or state complaint. You could utilize an advocate services to help you put that together.
So make sure that you are a relevant, informed, active participant on your child's IEP team and at your child's IEP meetings. If you need more information about parental input, how do you track progress and chart it, make sure you check out our other videos or go to breakingautism.com. Happy advocating!